Robert, thanks so much, man. Thanks so much for that history lesson. Thanks so much for that lovely potted history of British wrestling about who fought who in a supermarket car park in 1952, or an empty swimming pool, or in a skip, or who took wrestling off the TV. Ooh, thanks so much for bringing me up to speed. Thanks so much for sending me to sleep. I'm going to give you a wrestling date, my friend. 1985. Me, Greg Hemphill, 16 years of age, standing outside the old Forum in Montreal with a ticket in my hand to see Bruno Sammartino win a 20-man battle royale. I'm talking about a guy who used to wrestle when there was still 3 W's in the name of the company, Robert. Or 1986, me and my pals at WrestleMania 2 watching Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy in the first ever steel cage match at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 28 with my son in Miami, Rock vs. Cena. Don't talk to me about wrestling, okay? Don't talk to me about it. Because when you were in the library, right, reading about wrestling history, I was watching it live, I was there. Oran War is not about who knows the most about wrestling, Florence. If it was, we would have had a quiz night in a pub. We would have all be sitting around in our woolly jumpers, drinking real ale and covering our wee answers like that. We're not putting on a wrestling quiz, Florence. We're putting on a wrestling night with real wrestlers and a real ring. A wrestling night to showcase some of the best wrestling talent in Scotland. When you and I went on the Jams for Size show to promote the Oran War, you made it about yourself. You took that spotlight and you shone it on your own wee haunted heath. You sounded like a maniac. You sounded like a Bond villain.
I have a blueprint for Scottish wrestling. I am the future of wrestling. I have a plan to bring wrestling back to the telly.
You sounded like an absolute lunatic. You sounded insane. Actually, you do look a little bit like Dr. Evil, man. Oran War's not about you. Some telly star getting more famous off the back of a bunch of hard-working wrestlers like some 2-bit Vince McMahon is surfing on their blood and sweat. It wasn't about you, Florence. It never was, and it never will be. It's always going to be about the wrestlers. The whole point of Oran War was that we shine a spotlight on the young men and women who bust their asses on a nightly basis for very little reward in town halls throughout the land because they love it. People like Jack Jester, the UK's #1 hardcore wrestler, or BT Gunn, my high flyer, a silent assassin, the James Coburn again, my knife thrower, or Kaylee Ray, one of the toughest female wrestlers working today, or Blaze and Rampage, 2 young amazing athletes with the whole world at their feet, or Bad Bones, the German Psycho, Johnny Moss. I mean, have you ever seen such a destructive force as Johnny Moss? Hell hath no fury like him, Robert. Or Kid Fight. If you saw this guy in the streets in Maryhill on a dark night, you'd cross the road to avoid him. And don't forget Lionheart, my team leader, my king of the wild bunch, my William Holden, Lionheart. Brayhead, in front of 5,000 screaming fans, I was in the ring. I was not 4 feet away from Lionheart as he turned Jeff Jarrett, Double J, King of the Mountain, Jeff Jarrett, upside down and inside out. I had the best seat in the house, Robert. Right smack bang in the middle of the ring. And where were you? In the crowd, watching, craning your wee neck with your program. So don't talk to me about wrestling, Robert. Because when you've been reading about it, I've been living it. I'll see you on the 28th.